So how much income should you be living off of, guys?
That's a personal question.
Not yours. Like what roughly the percentage wise, right? You think a person should be?
Oh, you talking about percentages?
Percentage wise, yeah.
Because
what percentage of your income should you be?
Well, yeah, I wrote that wrong. Yeah.
Well, the richest man in Babylon book says 70%.
70, okay.
Yeah, so 30%.
What's up, everyone? This is Jeamain Wicker with Small Business Stand Up, and as you guys see here, we got some vets here. We got some new guys coming in as well. So we start from the top left. Tell us what you do, where you logging in from, all that good stuff. D is on you. Tell us what you do, D. Can you hear us?
It's on me.
Yeah. Tell us what you do and where you logging in from.
Hey guys, yeah, so I go by Derrick to Derrick. I'm logging in from Miami, Florida, man. Miami, Florida, the Sunshine State. And I pretty much, I do financial literacy, like I cover like business credit, business funding, personal credit. I help people, understand how money works. And, I do a lot of bit of personal development, mindset stuff. Things like that. So I'm heavy into personal development.
All right. You want to go to? I guess we'll jump down to this thing going on too. Yeah. I guess we'll jump down to Jermain too, man. Tell us where you logging in from, Jay, and what you do.
Yeah, I'm logging in today. Good evening, everyone. I'm logging in today from New York City, New York. I am what they call a serial entrepreneur. I have 4 businesses. My main business, I started in the real estate industry, so I own a real estate firm here in New York. But my main business now is book publishing. I've worked with a lot of celebrities as well as very successful entrepreneurs that you probably see online right now. I realized that there was a void and a need for those experts to take their intellectual property and put it on paper, but they just didn't have the time to do that. So what we've done is we created a company that allows entrepreneurs another stream of income. We teach them how to earn 6 figures a year with their book and using what they're already using. So JM Publishing is the company that does that, and that's what we're here to do.
Oh, dope.
Awesome.
All right. This Danielle is on you.
All right. Sorry. I'm Danielle MacArthur, owner of DCDR Solutions. I am a small business entrepreneurship coaching platform. I work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, those people that are getting ready to leave the side hustle behind and make it, wife that side hustle and make it a business. I use a lot of root cause analysis techniques, and based on continuous improvement strategies, setting up the foundations to make sure that they know what they're getting into and try to reduce as many obstacles as possible, or give them the confidence to take those obstacles on with no issues.
No. And Sheila's on you.
Hello, everyone. I am Shiela Little. I've been a therapist for about 20 years. I am a PhD candidate in business psychology. I'm the CEO and president of Shaping Solutions Leadership Training Development, Inc., where we provide consulting to individuals to solve their problems, coaching to get them in the right mindset, and a little bit of therapeutic techniques to heal some spaces that, maybe preventing them from getting to their goals. So.
Dope. So as you guys can see, we got some people on here, that know a little bit about something.
Nice. Yes.
So this is going to be kind of a little bit left field when we're going to talk about this week, right? So with a bunch of entrepreneurs here, man, so it'd be kind of crazy to think about. To look at what we're going to talk about, right? A job. I mean, did you guys come out being entrepreneurs, or did you work a 9 to 5 at one time, or do you still work a 9 to 5 and do your part-time job? I mean, your job as well, or your business as well.
Well, I definitely started off
Anybody
as a
jump right
hustler.
in.
I started off doing hair, and I think I started working in a salon at 15, and then I got into real estate at like 21. So I didn't get, and then I was like, going to school, going to college, and I remember I was about to graduate with my bachelor's degree, and they was like, yeah, we're gonna ask for these jobs, and they're like $13 an hour. I was getting a bachelor's in social work. And I'm like, $13 an hour? Wait a minute, what are you talking about? and I'm like, I make that now. And, more than that. And so I went on to get my master's and became a therapist, but I didn't get my first job till I was 28. So before then, I definitely was more of a hustler, just being a landlord and doing hair. And yeah. And then I only stayed in that for about 5 years. So I think I stayed from like 28 to 35, so 7 years. Yeah.
What about you guys? You guys currently work a full-time job, or you just doing your business full-time, or both?
Well, for me, man, my first job was like at 16. 15, and then my real first job was like 16, high school. I actually worked at a fast food place, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC.
Oh, you got chicken.
Yeah, man.
He was the man.
I was the man. I was the man in 9th grade. I used to bring all up the leftovers, and the food, and I used to bring home that stuff. But it taught me at an early age that I had to go out there and make money, right? Because my parents, they wasn't having it, So my mom, she always worked, and so I had to go out there. I wanted, to stay fly. I wanted to stay fresh. I went to a school here in Miami where we didn't wear uniforms. So we had to stay fresh every day, every week. Had to have
law, right?
This was in the 90s. This was in the 90s, actually, the mid 90s. And we had to have the polos, the cross colors. We had to have the Tommy. You know what I mean? Calcaline. We had to have, we.
That was law. You had to be fresh.
We had to be
I was
fresh.
too broke for that. I was sitting watching everybody wearing it.
You know what I mean? Like we had to have the J's on, things like that. So I had to work, man. I had to work, and that I led from that going to getting a trade. After high school, fortunately I got kicked out of high school. I was. A problem child. I was focusing more on the fresh than the books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got kicked out, and I had to pivot. I had to go to Job Corps. I went to Job Corps in Jacksonville. Then I had to get a real job. I had to get a trade. Actually, I went to go get a trade. I ended up finishing school, and ever since then I did electrical work. But I noticed I saw somebody get electrocuted. Well, not like die, but get shocked. Let's just say got shocked. Right. And I was like, wait, do I really want to keep doing this?
Yeah. Looked pretty painful, didn't it?
Yeah. I see them fly off.
That's what I'm saying. How far did they get thrown?
That's like the person in the military. You want me to do what now? You want me to go over there and die? Oh,
I saw him fly off the ladder, and I was like, no, I don't think
for me. It's not for me.
For me. So
we go back to KFC.
Let me tell you, I was like, man, I got to do something else. So I was just going through my emotions with the job. So I really had a lot of jobs until I was like, man, I gotta, I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't like to be talked to any kind of way. And I went back to school to do video production. So I would do that on the side and then just work other little jobs part-time and things like that till I just became a full-time entrepreneur where I'm is right now.
Go.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got something to add to that?
Good.
I can chime in real quick. I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 25. I was employed and working various different jobs until I realized something one day that I was always telling people to live their dream, but I wasn't living mine. And the reason why I say that is even as a real estate professional, we're still building, or I was still building at the time, a dream for someone else. And that I was walking into their office, I was selling real estate, splitting a commission with the brokerage. And while I wanted to live my dream, I wasn't. So what I decided to do a few short years later was to open my own business. And I didn't realize at that particular time, opening my own business wasn't something that was for the faint at heart. You have to really want to do what it is that you want to do. But it creates time freedom for the people who are diligent and who really want to do the thing that they set out to do. And it also has put me in a position to show my children as well that they don't have to be employed by someone. They can be employed by their dad, or they can start a company or a business. So that's the motto in my family, well, at least with my children, that they have an entrepreneur spirit or entrepreneur drive in this household, and we create businesses here.
Absolutely. I teach my kids the same thing too.
Are you raising employees or employers, right?
Exactly.
Yes. I feel like I probably spent the longest in the work game, man. Y'all make me feel some kind of way.
Right.
I came out of college because it's like when I was in high school, my mom always told me my job was to get good grades because I was the certified nerd. So she knew that would pay for me to go to college. So I worked a couple summer jobs or whatever through a summer youth program, but I never had a job until I got to college. But when I got out of college, I entered into the food manufacturing field, and I was like, oh, this is kind of easy. And it's like you get safe in that comfortable, easy space. But then once you start to realize, wait a second, I need to start moving up. And I started moving up, and it was just the more I moved up, the less I liked. And Jermain hit the nail on the head where it's like, why I'm making a lot. Like when I really finally did the math and realized how much money I'm saving this other company, or how much money I'm making this other company. And yes, my salary is nice, but I mean, just off of a quick math, they probably make 4 times as much of what they're paying me, if not 5 times. And it just really started to be like, what would happen if I took all this effort and all these powers and helped myself and other people, instead of feeding it into some big corporate beast that's already big, that's been big. Like, why not give back to somebody that's just starting, or, to get that momentum. But it was fun. But that wake up call, when it comes, and you can't stay in there long. Like, and the thought of going back makes me itch. So
yeah. It's a lot of people, man, working at 9 to 5 now who have some great ideas, right? But because of that money, because they pay them just enough money to pay their bills, and they're comfortable, they stay there a lot longer than they probably should have, right?
Absolutely.
So how did you change your reality? Before you guys answer that, let's do this quote here real quick. So the quote of the day, right? It's from my guy. MJ, not my guy, but yeah, he is my guy, right? Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it happened. What happened? And other people make it happen, right? Nice. So that question, we go back to it again, man. How did you change their reality? Right? Because most people are stuck. They getting that job, man, and they giving you promotions or whatever the case is, or you get that little raise at the end of the year. So then you get to that next level. They give you profit sharing and all this stuff, and you stuck in the matrix. So how did you guys get parole, right? How you get parole, man?
I just think you got to get comfortable with the unknown, right? Like so many people don't change their reality because they're fearful of the unknown. Like, what is this going to look like for me? I know what this check is going to yield me. I know what I'm going to be able to pay. I know what I'm going to be able to do. But so many people just don't know, like, with that unknown. Like I tell my clients, you're at a fork in the road. You went, left. Now it's time to go right. But right looks so doom and gloom and so scary, you know.
Mhm.
And so I just think that, you know, get comfortable with the unknown. You know, I think that's how I changed my reality, and the fact that reality is going to continue to change, especially as entrepreneurs, right? If you're driven to create, once you create something and it stabilizes, that hunger never goes away, right? So you're itching for another fix, right? And so you're dabbling in this and dabbling in that just to, I don't know, feel purposeful. I think about an Oprah Winfrey who has recreated herself over and over and over again, or Jay-Z. I mean, those are
Puff
big
Daddy.
people, but there's so many of us, right, that change from what even is comfortable. And I mean, you could be comfortable at $1 million, right? Like you could be
Mhm.
making great money. And sometimes it's just not about the money, it's about that fulfillment
Mhm.
in your life, and you know, being comfortable with being uncomfortable to get full a little bit. So
Yeah.
that's how I
Absolutely.
changed my reality. I made a different relationship with uncomfortableness. Like, you my friend.
I'm like, for me, there was a lot of planning. Now, when it comes to the actual execution of it, because it starts in the mind, but then it has to translate into actual work and execution. And you know, I heard a funny quote that I can't quite remember verbatim about, you know, making plans, but you at least have to draft up. If it's a rough draft, like what are you going to be doing? Help to get that idea. Because to me, it's almost like riding a bike with training wheels, where it's going to get you in that mind where it's like, okay, what am I going to be doing? What is this going to look like when I change my reality? What do I want my reality look like? And kind of crafting that narrative so that, you know, when you're actually in the story now, you can live that story instead of just dreaming about it. But
Yeah, man.
there's
Yeah.
some planning.
The architect, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will hope. I'm sure some people haven't planned. We've heard tons of stories, but if you have the space and opportunity to plan, look, that's what I was about to say, Miss. I've been hustling since I was 16. Now
I plan now, but yeah, there was times I was just jumping.
yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, like, you know, I heard a quote that says, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan, right? And you know, for me, I had to look myself in the mirror at one time, because, you know, it's just like being on a job and they tell you you can't take off for your kid's birthday, or you know, your mom's birthday, you got something planned. And I was like, man, you know, I think for a lot of people that who change their reality, that's entrepreneurs now, I always hear stories like something happened at the job, they couldn't leave, they couldn't, you know, the boss told them get back to work. Like something happens like that to make you want to say, man, you know what? I don't need this, you know, and it forces you to change, right? It forces you to change, because Jim Rome says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? So I think something ultimately has to happen for you individually for it to change. That's why I don't tell people to leave their day job. Like, work on your day job, but work on something part-time, right? Because you work on your day job to make a living, but you can work part-time on your fortune.
Yes.
So, you know, I always tell people, like, that's what, when I heard those quotes, and I'm like, man, it really sunk home with me, because I'm like, yeah, you can still work, but still work part-time on something that you got going on. Don't work hard on your job and don't work hard on yourself. Yeah, you know what I mean? Work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was key for me. But I had to take that leap of faith. You know, you got to jump, you know. So I had to take that leap, and I did. I'm glad I did, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's tons of jobs sitting there waiting. They ain't going
True.
They ain't going
that was my biggest push, where it's like,
Mhm.
I can always come back to this. This isn't going anywhere. The field that I'm in, my skill set, I can always go back. Why would I not? To Sheila's point, let's start going right for a little bit and see where that takes me. I can always go back and go left, but right now I want to try right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So how we do that, right? How you make your job work for you, right? Like we just talked about, basically working your full-time job and had that side hustle, right? So you're trying to bring that boat closer to the dock so you can step right into it and keep on moving. You know what I'm saying? That's the key to this thing. If you're not prepared for that, yeah, you'll be stuck forever. Because because one thing about it, man, bills keep coming. You leave your job. I messed around and did that before. Left my job, man, and man, bro, them bills are hitting me across my head. You know, like, wow, I can't do that no more. I got to make sure that boat is close enough to that dock.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Or
Look,
you'll fall in the water.
I got to take this one. So one of the biggest things is you got to get a control of your money. I think that's part of it. That's part of it, because it starts with what he said. Start dabbling. Start dialing it back to about 70% operating efficiency at working for somebody else. Like, that was one of my things where it's like, stop giving my all to here. I'm gonna start reallocating some of my energy little by little to something else. But then a lot of it was also money, because for me, once I started making a certain amount of money that I knew this is good money, I put the rest in different savings, because it's like, I don't need it. I don't want to see it. Get it away from me before I even see it. And then that way it's building that cushion for me that makes me feel better about going out on the leap. Like, I know not everybody needs that. Some people do, some people don't care about that. But for me, it was real big that was one of the first things I did, was like, let me ramp up what I'm putting in my savings, because I need to get out of here. I'm throwing fluff on the ground because I'm getting ready to jump. So I'm trying to soften this blow as much as I possibly can. But my two biggest factors were stop putting 1,000,000% in at the 9 to 5 and start reallocating those resources to figure out what I was good at. But then the other advice is use your job. If you're in a position, if you have a job that trains you or sends you for training, take advantage of that stuff. Absolutely. Don't be the person that I ain't gonna do it. Yeah. Get every single ounce of training, skills, whatever they want to throw at you, because that is it's going to do nothing but help you. Yeah. In the future. Because it's like, I mean, I've gotten so much training and certifications from my time in corporate, and now I can use those skills to help somebody else. And I didn't pay for that, because there's ways to get the most out of these jobs. If you're in a position where you have maybe like a corporate job or something that offers those kind of things, take advantage of it. If they say, who you want to train class? Yes. Don't be the person, I don't want to go to this training class. Just go. Get it. It's free. No, that it's on the back of your paycheck. But aside from that,
well, I mean, I can share my experience, although I didn't realize it at the time. So I was in a relationship with an individual who made 6 figures, and so they paid a big chunk of, taxes or whatever. And then we paid taxes. But in the beginning of our business, we had a big, huge debt, And I think for me, it was having a teammate, like having that stable income coming in, and then bringing them into the job. So like now we're writing off his debt, right? Like the stuff that because he's a part of the business, and so it was. I didn't even get that part at the time, like the financial benefit of it, but he definitely was the stable one. So when our business wasn't doing well, like he could, make sure that I had gas in my car and things like that. But, I say how to make it. And I don't know, I think that this is a very tricky question, because, you want to learn how to work smarter. Yeah. Right. But I think that you learn that the more you work, know. And in the beginning, we hear all of this stuff like, learn how to work on your job and not in your job. But in the beginning, if you're the only person working, you're working in your job. So, absolutely. A lot of this is how you're structuring your team too. Like, how do you make your job work for you? If you have a mate, then give them a plan, right? And that was one thing I failed to do with my mate. Like, okay, this is the 5-year plan. This is how long I'm due. So it became exhausting, I think, for him. But, for me, looking back, I definitely feel like having that support allowed me to walk away, from some situations and not have to worry about the job, because the bills are getting paid. And then now we can talk about reducing our cost and spending and things like that, because I did all of those things. But one thing I didn't have to worry about was my household, because there was someone there that was a part of my team that was making sure that was being taken care of. So if you're in a position where to make a job work for you, both of y'all don't quit, have a teammate that can do that. And even when I started my second business, I brung on a business partner who was in there part-time. He had a full-time job. And so when things would kind of, fluctuate or something like that, like he was a stable person, because I always just was the entrepreneur. So that's how I made a job work for me, not so much my job, but a job.
Yeah.
And insurance benefits if you're married.
Yeah. but
right. So all of those things that you
Yeah.
don't think about, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I think that we talk about attracting people. Sometimes opposites is attract, because I've always been the entrepreneur minded one, and I've always tend to attract the the more stable, like the one that wants to work. And I used to buck that at first, like, oh, I just need you to think more entrepreneurial. But really, it was more balanced, especially in the beginning of my business.
Yeah.
That stability was definitely needed. And so that's, truly how, when you ask that question, I'm sitting there thinking, like, how did I make a job work for me? And that was it. And the second thing was picking up contracts. So although, I was a therapist, I would probably go contract with other companies that needed therapists. And so now I'm getting a percentage of like however many clients I see. And I kept that contract so I can always pick up hours, drop down hours, to kind of help.
Make it work for you.
That wasn't so much entrepreneurial, but it still was contract based 1099.
Yeah, that's nice.
But I was thinking about this too. I mean, maybe you have a side business that you have to do in the daytime. Maybe you take that job at night.
Yeah.
Right? And make it work for you.
Make it work for you.
So yeah, I was kind of thinking about that a little bit. That's kind of what I did.
Yes, and like I like to say, how you make a job work for you. I always tell people, man, whatever job that you're doing, like she said, you can learn from it, right? You can learn from the trainings, and you can stay as long as on that job as you want, and you can model after that. Like, say if you leave that job or whatever type of job it was, you learned a special skill or whatever it is, you can now open up an LLC doing that same thing. Now you have experience, and now you already seen the operations of the company by being with them, seeing how the operations work, things like that. And then you can apply that to your company once you leave that company.
Amen.
So that those are ways that you can make your job work for you. And then once you transition from that job, you already know exactly what you need to do. Like if that's what you want to do and you have skills and you have knowledge and expertise in it, why don't you just open an LLC and mirror that same job? Not because you already got the knowledge and information from that job.
Yeah.
Wonderful world of coaching.
Yeah.
I'm telling
you. Sometimes when these things with these jobs, right? It may not be something that can happen in a month or 2 months.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to be at that job for some years.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that, right? So what I was thinking about, if you're gonna be at this job, right? Why not max out your 401k, right? If they max you up to a certain percentage or whatever the case is, max that thing out.
Yeah.
You could be saving at the same time, max that out, man. Why not?
Why not?
People look, as like, again, all my many years in corporate, it's if you're not raised with that thought process, and if you are not blessed to have coworkers who come and check you, because that's what happened to me at the last company that I worked for when I got there. So this company actually did profit sharing and matching. And so profit sharing, not too many companies do profit sharing anymore. And so, but when he explained it to me, and I was like, oh, because everybody gets the onboarding and the training, and they go over it, but nobody's really paying attention on the first day. You excited, you got a new job, they're dumping information on you, you really don't understand. And if you don't know these words, if you're not raised with these words, because I had an experience early in my career where it's like I ran into a guy who, at 18, his parents had set up all these savings accounts, all this other stuff. I barely got money in the bank. So, it's a different experience for us. Yeah. For some people, I'm not going to say all, where it's like, if you're not taught these things, and for me, you could go above the max, go above.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the account that my company had was amazing. I don't know who or what deal they made with whatever, but I mean, it was getting way more than 10%. It was averaging about 15% a year. So like, look at those statements, understand like how well does this account do? I mean, after 1 year, it was just like, wow, this is a lot of money in a year. And it was just like, okay, let me feed into this program, because essentially I'm turning that into a little baby side job, because it's like, if I put the money in, it's making me money.
Yeah.
That's pre-tax dollars
go
too.
above and beyond, as long as it's within your means. Do the math.
And what I've learned too, you don't even really miss it when it's coming out of your check like that. You know, that's pre-tax dollars as well, man. That stuff compound quickly too. You know,
I had mine go up every time I got a raise, so that I barely saw the difference. So every time I would get an increase, it would add a percentage to how much I was putting away. So, like you said, I wouldn't even see it.
Yeah. No.
That's nice.
So another vehicle, man, that you can think about as well. Okay, the 401k is pre-tax, right? Pre-tax, and then Roth IRA, man. What you can do, you can put in up to 6% if you're single, right? I think I got some stats here, man. Let me run this down to you guys real quick, unless I did something with it. Knowing me, I probably did. Man, yeah, I think I did. But yeah, so I think it's 13,000 if I'm not mistaken, if you guys are above 50 years old. If you have a spouse or whatever the case is. So I mean, this is post-tax though. But you get you one of them Roth IRAs if they offer it. Basically that something that you can do. You can kind of put it where you want it to be at. You can invest into some real estate or whatever the case is. That stuff adds up, man, in a short period of time. You can go grab some of that money, man. So just in case you get ready to do your own business or whatever the case is, that's that cushion that Ms. Danielle was talking about.
And I just want to say this too, from a mental standpoint. A lot of times I don't think that we realize how our guilt of not making decisions earlier is stopping us from, making decisions at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. And, life, our longevity is longer, or even if it's passing stuff down to our kids, our grandkids. And I just think that a lot of times we allow the guilt of not doing what we should have, could have, did, stop us from doing what we absolutely could do now, right? If that's getting a Roth IRA as an entrepreneur, if that's investing in a 401k as an employer, if that's talking to the HR department, like Derrick said, and saying, hey, what do you bring consultants in for? And, now devising a plan of how you can pitch yourself as a consultant or coach to your company, after you leave that position. And, I think that we really have to deal with that guilt, of, like, oh man, I should have did that. I could have did that. What if I would have did that? And the opportunity is now, we only know what we know until we know something different, and now that you know something different, do something with it versus real about what you could have did with this new information. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got a story to piggyback exactly that hits that nail on the head, because I opened up my IRA, my Roth IRA, when I was 27. I was just putting $50. I think I started at like $50 because I was able to do that through the specific company. And then as I started making more money, it was like, okay, let me start putting more money. And I was just doing it. And then that's the money I used to buy my first house. Because at the time when I opened it, I wasn't thinking about buying a house. I wasn't thinking about buying a car. It was just like you said, Shiela, there was an opportunity.
Smart.
Like, I just heard a story about a guy who did this at 18. I'm a little late, but I'm not too late. So let me start doing this. But and then when you really talk to a lot of financial people, the ways to really flip that and use that is so much more than what, it's not. It's a lot more than just a savings account.
And if you really are honest, like, people really don't start living their life or their best life or a fulfilled life till their late 30s, right?
Amen.
Early 40s, like, you're still figuring this thing out. Remember, you have only been on earth for 30 years. Like, your frontal lobe has only started closing at 25. That's why you can stay on your parents' insurance. So you've only been making decisions for yourself after 25, right? And so a lot of this trying to play catch up or wishing I would have done it earlier, or, and then know that they call, especially African Americans or any brown person, a disadvantaged population for a reason. And it ain't just because the color of your skin, it's the lack of information.
Lack
It's
of
just,
information.
yeah, you know, so you're at a disadvantage because you haven't been given the same information,
Yes.
right, that other people have been given. So don't look at that word disadvantaged like from this, you know,
It's not
educational,
disabled.
and
Yeah.
it's not like a disabled
yeah.
population. Like, no, you're at a disadvantage because you don't have access to the same resources as another population does. And that disadvantage is probably why, you know, a lot of our culture doesn't, you know, in our 40s and 50s and 60s, we start feeling fulfilled, right? Because we started off slower, right? And we're trying to change that, right, for our kids. But I mean, still, your frontal lobe don't close at 25, so you still only making decisions. Like that 18-year-old kid is probably 3% of the bell curve, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not
Yes.
the average. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Individual.
But you don't
that's
feel like
thinking.
that in the moment.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
when you start to really learn, like
And
I love that point.
That
Sheila.
his father is probably an investor, or
exactly.
they probably started
Yep.
investing for him. So
Guess what
I
I'm gonna
mean,
do for
we
my
hear
kids?
these stories that's definitely on the end of the bell curve, but the average person, you know, really starts thinking about money, really starts thinking about these concepts that we're talking about now in our, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s, you know. And so it's
And
never late to you know, make a change in your life, and you will see the benefits before you leave this earth if you start doing that.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on that, I got a book recommendation since we're talking about 401ks and retirement stuff. The Power of Zero. Guys, get this book. This book is the book that you want to get. All right. And when we said that, you know, we don't get certain information in our community, this is information that we need to know about. The Power of Zero. And we need to read, man. You know, there was a saying back in the days that if you wanted to keep something from a black person, put it in a book, right?
Yeah.
You know what
That's
I mean?
true.
And all the information that's out there, it's in books. Think and Grow Rich. That was in a book. That's the number one selling book from over 100 years, right?
Yeah.
So you guys, we gotta read, man. We gotta, you know, be self-taught. You know, they say when kids leave high school, they don't even read no more, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
the average American or average person only reads at a third grade level, which means their level to comprehend information is limited, you know?
yeah,
No matter if they went to high school or not, we're still in comprehending information at third grade level. So I'm with you. Read.
yeah. And then someone
share,
said
talk
use
to
life
people,
insurance as a tool. Someone just said use life insurance as a tool,
Yeah.
and that's important too. You
Yes,
know,
next level stuff.
we you know, life insurance. Yep, definitely a tool. Yeah, that's important, man. I didn't know about life insurance. I heard people say life insurance, but I always thought it was a scam.
Yeah.
Right? I'm telling you, I thought it was a scam.
Yeah. I'm just getting on it myself, man.
You know what I mean? Until recently,
myself, the life insurance part. With
yeah.
the, you know, yeah.
I got a life insurance.
You got two
Listen,
sides
let me
to the
tell you.
story. It's interesting to see
listen,
both
right?
sides.
But listen, I got a. I'm 42 years old. Believe it or not, I got my first life insurance policy at 40 years old.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, like I said, I thought life insurance was a scam. My mom, she had life insurance, right? But I had no clue about all the different things that it could do. Right. And the guy asked me one simple question. He was like, how, you know, would your family be better off today if you were to leave? And, you know, then they were, while you're here, and I had to think about it. I'm like,
yeah,
you know, I didn't know, nobody never asked me that question before. So would I be a burden, or would they be a burden on someone else? And I'm like, damn, you know. So I had to get a policy. I got a policy, and if something, God forbid, if something was to ever happen to me, I know that I left them something, you know, behind, and I can be taken care of, and nobody have to do a GoFundMe account.
That's grown man. That's grown person.
And that's the big thing, because it's like you hear so many people that don't agree with it. It's like, yes, if you don't have any debt, everything's paid off of, you know, everybody's good, then no, you don't need it. You're good. But if for somebody coming from, is exactly because that's what hit for me, where it was like, listening to stories of how you think they built wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Checks when people died. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily, they weren't doing, there was so much of the population who they weren't doing anything extraordinary. They were just getting big checks when people died. And you compound that and you build that into that into your legacy.
And that's how I heard how Jewish people, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
Like when grandma dies, it's $1 million policy passed on to the grandkids.
Okay.
And so on and so on.
Yeah.
So, and I had no clue that's what they were doing.
See with us.
Two sides of that story, because if you don't train them, then it's going to be gone in a month. And then all that work you did is for naught.
But we're talking about Jewish people, though.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You know their discipline.
Yes.
Well, I think that you speak to a good thing, Derrick, which is like how we were raised.
Yes.
And we have to understand that we are very suggestible beings. And a lot of the resistance that we have to changing our reality, not having a job and being an entrepreneur is really of what you heard about that, right? Growing up, and you're still battling those beliefs versus taking the facts for what they are today, and in a Jewish culture, they taught, for me, we didn't talk about death. So how are we going to talk about insurance, like life insurance, when we don't even want to accept that grandma in there on hospice?
Okay.
Exactly.
Die,
Exactly.
So it's like, that's the bigger issue, that can we even have this conversation about death and looking at life insurance as not just if I die, it's not a death policy, but it's saying I'm being responsible with my value and my ethics and my worth, right? And I'm making sure that that's insured.
Yes.
So if something happens to me, my kids are insured, my family is insured, my wife is insured, my husband is insured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're the
dialogue about it.
If you're the breadwinner and you pass and you don't have life insurance, there's gonna be two tragedies. They're gonna miss you, of course, but they're gonna miss your income coming in.
Yes.
But
be responsible.
My uncle had life insurance policies on all my cousins, right? They're not his kids, but he just want to make sure, like, everybody, like, he just thinks strategically. Like,
no, it is.
He got a life insurance policy on pretty much everybody in my family, right?
That's smart. That's a smart man.
Sheila, that's the next level conversations people don't want to have in our community. Kids die.
Listen,
young
and guess what?
Die.
And then a life insurance policy is way cheaper on a child because of the cost of life insurance on when the child is young.
Yeah.
Right. You could pay that all the way up until God knows how long. Right. So we just got to understand that, man. Life insurance is a tool, just like how you put insurance on a car and insurance on, your phone. Why not insure your life? Like, right? Why not insure your life? Right? Like, we not even telling the kids.
And it's so crazy because, two of those things are like auto insurance is required. You have to have
Why isn't that required for your life? Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that it's unbelievable. Like, I don't know what's going on here.
I do want to say this, though, because I have a healthy life insurance policy, like healthy. And I remember checking the box off, right? What I want to be insured for. And I remember this fear, like they're going to feel like I'm, trying to get down, or, like this little nervousness of my life being equated to that amount of
watching too much CSI and
snap. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean.
So I'm like, okay, like I know that my life is that, but checking that box and saying if so happens Sheila passes on, this is how much her death benefit will be. And we know we're talking about like figures, right? It was like that was a nervous, like check for me. But it reminded me about my money story, right? Like, so I could say I'm worthy, right? And I can say I'm valuable, but now I'm going to place this amount of money on me to prove this. And like this emotion that came up in me, like, if are they really gonna pay this to me? Like, if something happened on my family, and I think that we're talking about emotional management. The reason why we don't do what we're supposed to do, or the reason why grandma only put $20,000 on uncle policy, but she been paying it for 50 years, right? A $5,000 policy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. I
Look, I
pause
was
that.
just about to say that. That was a big one for me
Yeah,
too.
for my kids, if my husband both
What?
pass. Yeah, that's
Because
important.
I think life insurance opens that doors to those
Emotional
grown-up
management, yeah.
conversations. Because everybody, regardless of if you agree with life insurance or not, what happens to your family? What happens to your things? These grown-up decisions
Yeah.
and that you have to
Probate.
make, and grown-up conversations, especially if you're in a tumultuous situation. Because I was very similar, and I was like, wait a second. Then that leads into I need a will. I
Probate
need to make
and all that.
sure, setting things up, because if something happens to me, I don't want this money to go to the father or,
Yeah.
all the technicalities. So I think that's another part of that hesitation with insurance is you got to have a lot of grown up conversations. And
Yes.
the box
It's
that
real
hit me was
conversations.
who gets the kids. I was like, ooh, wait a second. Because I had
Yes.
little kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also
And-
believe with regards to life insurance that we place the value on what life insurance does after we pass away, and not what life insurance does for us while we are living, and how we can create infinite banking, how we can borrow money from policies and purchase real estate properties and things like that. And actually, as we talked about one of my businesses early on, we actually just published a book called Creating Wealth Through Life Insurance.
Oh, nice.
By life insurance specialist Lindsay Smith. It's called Creating Wealth Through Life Insurance. And one of the things that we talked about in that particular book is all aspects of life insurance, because I feel like, or we felt like, you'll hear about life insurance, but you'll maybe just hear about term. You'll hear about life insurance, but you'll maybe just hear about whole life or just universal life.
Yeah.
And we felt that there was a missing piece in understanding the dynamics about life insurance from the beginning and the whole entire process to making sure that your medical is fine and you're not a smoker, and why all these things happen the way that they happen, and why policies are this price versus why policies are that price. So I highly, highly recommend this book, Creating Wealth Through Life Insurance.
They want to know where they can buy it from, Jay.
You can grab it right on Amazon. It's on Amazon.
Nice.
Creating Wealth Through Life Insurance by Lindsay Smith. It's a powerful, powerful book. And like I said, it goes over pretty much every aspect, especially for the African American community. It speaks right to them. So I highly recommend you guys grab it.
Important. Yeah, that's very important.
What's up, Ashley? Ashley, go get her, man. Ashley, go get her.
Hey, Ashley. Hey, what's up?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's very important.
So a couple more questions.
That was a great discussion.
Yeah, definitely. Couple more questions. Then we're gonna bring our guests on up as well. All right. So where we at? So here's well. Okay, let me say this first. So just because you have a business don't mean you have to walk away from your full-time job as well. So we make sure I reiterate that, because some people like their jobs, right? And they may want to have a business on the side. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to do that, right? But the ultimate thing should be is to get yourself in a position to where one day you can retire and retire comfortably, right? Where is that? So how much income should you be living off of, guys?
That's a personal question.
Not yours. Like what roughly the percentage wise, right? You think a person should be?
Oh, you talking about percentages?
Percentage wise, yeah.
Because
what percentage of your income should you be?
Well, yeah, I wrote that wrong. Yeah.
Well, the richest man in Babylon book says 70%.
70. Okay.
Yeah, so 30% you should try to save, and then you divide that 10, 10, 10 in different areas. I feel that's a good amount to
and I feel like this is so true, because I can tell you, me and my brother is probably 18 months younger than I, and I think I've always generated more income than my brother. But I think he's been more strategic in his income, right? And he works, my brother can do just as much as I do, build a house, but he's very selective in what he chooses to do. But he's always, like, he's bought a home, he has his car paid off, he has a boat that we take out every summer. Like, the things that he's able to do with his resources And it's because he applies strategy to his money, So instead of paying his mortgage one payment at a time, like he take a little bit of his money, like he take his money mortgage and split it up in like 52 weeks, and each week he pays on it. And it's just like remarkable to me, his money management skills, and then we stay, when I say like neck to neck. And although I bring in more income than him, but I know he's definitely used principles like save, only live off 70% and all of that stuff. So it definitely works.
Yeah,
70%. I'm just learning that.
Hey,
70%.
Yeah.
I know it. Yeah. Knowing and practicing are two different things.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So, okay, good question here. Let's pull this bad way up as well. No, that's the wrong one. So, if we think about retiring, right? How much money should you save while retiring? This is why I pulled up. What do you guys think
How you
about
want
that?
to live? What, you just had an insurance consultation, man? You asking all these insurance consultation questions, man?
So I know
game, Jay.
every time we come on, I know we talk about business all the time. So I wanted to give the people who work at a job a little bit as well, but at the same time, give them a way to be able to retire comfortable as well. That was kind of the whole idea.
Nice.
I'll say anybody that's ever dabbled in insurance know there's all kind of math that you got to do to figure out this number, though. So it ain't just a set number.
Yeah,
because it depends on it depends on the lifestyle you want to live when you're retired. Yeah. So,
which I think is the conversation that's not had, the
Again,
lifestyle that you want to live, because I think people retire and they still try to live the same lifestyle, but you can't because you're only living off a percentage of that income. So practicing that 70%, practicing that while you're working is going to help you sustain your lifestyle when you retire, because you're bringing less income in unless you become an entrepreneur, and supplement your income.
And Derrick, man, I know you say you just got your life insurance policy. I think they want you to have what? It's 10 times your annual income?
Yes.
They kind of press you on that?
Yeah. So they, during the educational part, before when they setting up your policy, they ask you how much money you make, and then they times 10 annually. Yeah. And then, that's how we kind of structure the and then they ask you if you got any debt, and then you total all of that up, student loans, whatever, total all that up. And then they tell you, okay, well, I think $250,000 or $500,000 or something like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to bring our guest up here, man. Let me pop him up here real quick. This guy's not a stranger to the team. What's up, bro?
Welcome. I feel welcome. I love the conversation. You're talking about money. You're right in my wheelhouse.
I already know. I already know. Let me do this here, man. First of all, let me just talk a little bit about you a little bit, man. I can put some stuff down for you,
blow him up on the screen, man. Make it big, man.
Let me do that. Let me see if I can do it on this one here, man. For some reason,
I like that background, man. I like that background.
Oh, thank you, man. My son
cleaned
painted that when he was probably in the 7th grade.
Nice.
It's
He's
not
almost
letting me
30
warm
now.
up today.
So. Right.
It's not letting me do it. There we go.
Oh, okay.
There we
cool.
go. But it's taking everybody out, though. I don't want to take everybody out, though.
Look, man, it's time.
Okay. I tell you what, I can't talk about you no better than what you can do it. So I'm gonna let you do it, man.
Okay.
So introduce yourself to us and everybody listening, and tell us about what you do, where you logging in from, all that good stuff.
Excellent. Well, I am in Toledo, Ohio, the Midwest. It is 40 degrees outside. It's cold as
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
I am a registered investment advisor. I predominantly manage retirement portfolios for individuals that have worked, at a company for 20, 30 years, and they are finally ready to call it a day. And we do that. We don't do active trading, but we do value trading. We make sure that they never run out of money. You talked about how much money do people need in retirement? Well, we help people figure that out.
Nice.
Exactly. And the number changes the closer you get to retirement. So it just depends on how well you do managing your life, your expenses, your necessities, and of course, what kind of retirement do you want to have? Are you trying to maintain the exact same lifestyle, or are you trying to minimize, or what that is? We also have a company that helps people to get out of debt. So we help people with money, and then we help people to get some money. So a lot of the questions that you ask at the end part of the last portion of the podcast, we help people figure out and reposition themselves, reevaluate to get there. I am a fitness enthusiast. I do spinning. I'm a spinning instructor, and I like to work out and all that kind of fun things. I used to be a D1 athlete back in the day, many hundred moons ago. I'm an author. I wrote a book called The 24K Life Code. It is about how to live your life holistically, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, and in your relationships. So it's about having a complete balance at a high level. And it's not about me. It's more about the tools that I know some of my most successful clients have used during their lifetimes to reach the status that they have reached. So that's my story, man. I do it well. I stay in my lane. I don't do anything else outside of that lane. We do a little bit of coaching as far as entrepreneurs that want to start up. I talked to a young man a couple hours ago that may want to get into the investment game. He's an engineer. So we do a little bit of insight specifically when it comes to young people, and they're looking to get on a path that is different than their parents, that's different than anybody in their family, so that they can reach financial freedom far sooner than normal retirement age.
Okay. So I'm gonna kick it off first, man. So one thing I didn't know is that you said you're a spin instructor.
Yeah.
What is a spin instructor? I didn't know that, man. What's that?
Yeah. So, I'm super competitive. Being an ex-football player, I'm just super competitive. So back in the day, many moons ago, I started taking spin classes when they came to town. And, the people that I would exercise with in this group exercise class were very aggressive and very competitive, and didn't matter if they were men, women, or whoever. And so, of course, being competitive, I had to outdo all of them, including the instructor. And so I got so good at it that I just got certified to teach spin. And then, my math side, financial side kicked in and said, hey, I'm going to work out. I might as well get paid for it. And I get a free gym membership. That's how they win.
That's how you solve life math right there. I call that life math. Make it work for you. Turn your hobby into income.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
listen, I think maybe I'm the only one that's thinking of saying, we talking about spin. Are we talking about dancing?
No, it's group exercise on a bike.
Bicycles. Okay.
I had no clue.
When they all in the room, they come in and they go
You
in
know,
and they sweat.
You know what? When you said that, I thought it was like, how like when you go in the corners when it's like tax time and somebody like spinning this thing around. Like I thought it was actually that. Like because they do got championships in that too. I seen they had spin championships.
Yeah,
we just had the World Games in Birmingham. There are all types of sports.
Yeah, this is called sweating your behind off.
Oh, okay.
It's a very intense. It's not intense on your body, but it's a very intense workout. It's a lot of cardio.
Okay.
About 45 minutes.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. So we was talking about a couple of books a moment ago. So I know you're the author of a 24K Life book, right? Tell us a little bit about the book, man. How you got that kicked off, man? Did you self-publish it, or how did you get that?
Yeah, the truth. I'm going to tell you the absolute unadulterated truth about this book. So, like many people, after being in the business, I'd say probably about 15 years, I said, I know so many things that would help us, and I should write a book about it. And so I started not knowing anything. I started writing this book, and I got to chapter 2, and it stayed at chapter 2 for about 10 years. So, I'm doing a master class about accomplishing goals and about, stretch goals. And so I said, my goal this year is to finish my book. And so it was in January. So in March, I said, well, I'm going to do this. And I'm the kind of person that once I decide, it's a done deal. So I decided I wasn't going to fool around with this book. So from March to Father's Day, which was June 24th, I didn't do anything other than my normal job. So outside of my normal work hours, at night from maybe 6 to I went to bed. Friday at 2 p.m. until I went to bed, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. All I did was write this book. Now, I didn't do it the conventional way, which caused me a lot of consternation, but I finished it. I finished the first rough draft on Father's Day. I was super excited. I sent it to the editor. I hired an editor, sent it to the editor. It came back to me with 14,000 corrections.
I was just about to say, I hope that editor ripped it apart, didn't it?
5,000 words, 14,000 corrections. So, I'm committed. So I did the corrections. I resubmitted it, came back with 2,000 corrections. And I'm like, I can handle 2,000 in my sleep.
Yeah.
So I made those corrections. And I had all along been looking at getting it published traditionally, and the process is unbearable. I mean, you got to get an agent. I mean, there's so many things you have to do to publish traditionally. So I said, yeah, I'm going to self-publish. I was super blessed because the woman who edited my book edits Dave Ramsey's books, which are also finance books.
That's a blessing.
So I knew through her it was a good book, or it could hold its weight. And so I just decided to self-publish, and I had been looking at self-publishing and publishing traditionally, found a self-publisher that I liked, self-published the book. It's I wanted what I didn't want. You ever meet those people that say, yeah, I wrote a book, and you buy it and it's a bunch of poems and you're like,
yeah.
Book, or the print's this big. So I was serious, like, I wanted a real book. So I got it hardcover. I wasn't playing. I wanted a real book. So I got it hardcover, and 60,000 words. It's concise.
Show us the book.
Do it the right way.
Let's see the front cover. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
The 24 life code. Okay.
Yeah, the 24K life code.
24K life code. Nice.
Right.
Congrats.
The only difference between mediocrity and greatness. And so finished the book. I had a major conference, probably about 300 people that we were hosting. And that was January 18th of 20. I got the book 2 weeks, the delivery 2 weeks before that, just in time for the conference. So it takes a long time from beginning to end. I don't count to 10 years, so don't think I'm counting to 10 years. I'm talking about from March to the following January is how long it took me to write, get a couple drafts in, get it edited, get it published, and be ready. We found 2 mistakes in it, so I had to get those 2 mistakes taken care of on the second order. I just told everybody that bought the first order, you got an authentic
limited edition.
Yeah, limited.
Yeah. So it was a very rewarding process. I don't consider myself a author, if you will. I don't have massive plans to write another one because it was very draining. I was very myopic. And I imagine that if God gives me something different or maybe the same at a higher level, I will do it, but I don't have any plans right now to do a second book.
Dope. You guys have any questions for Mr. Gary?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's on me. Yep. Yes. So yeah, my question for you is, I heard you mention something about you help younger children change the path of, from their parents. Could you talk a little bit about that? Like what age group?
Yeah, I don't do it. Yeah, I don't do it on purpose. Okay. I mean, kids don't have no money. So
yeah.
So I don't do it. I don't do it intentionally. What happens, to give you a great example, October, I think it's the 24th. It might be the 20th. I don't remember. I think it's the 24th. I am speaking to, 180 high school kids around the city that some other groups pulls them together. And so they're used to the traditional dry talk. They will get a talk from me about NIL. You know what NIL is? Anybody?
No.
Name, image, and likeness. It is the new athletic football rule or athletic college rule, not just football, but all the sports, where you can use your name, your image, and your likeness to get compensated.
Oh, yes, I heard about that. Yeah, that's the new rule that they passed.
And
So
so
the
it's
non-sports people in the room, what does that
so
mean?
yeah, so most of these kids won't be sports people in the room, right?
Yeah.
So what I will do with this particular event is I will point out to them that it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or not. You need your name, your image, and your likeness. You need your brand.
Yes.
You need your authenticity. You need your greatness. You need your superpower, and you need to display it to the world, and the world will pay you for it.
Yes.
And then what do you do with those funds once you do it? So one of the questions was, what percentage of your income do you live off of? So when it comes to kids, I tell my adult clients, when it comes to their kid, train your child that they only get to spend 50% of their birthday money, of their Christmas money, of this, whatever they get gift-wise. They only get to spend 50%. They have to give 10% away. Okay. And then we show them how to save the other 40%, or we break it up. So we use all the principles, I will proudly say, of the Bible, like giving, because giving is part of receiving, right? You put karma out in the universe.
Yes.
So when it comes to these kids with this NIL, I'm going to take something that they're interested in. Oh my God, the Ohio State quarterback got a contract for $1 million and he's driving a Lamborghini and blah, 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 because of his ability. And these kids, I don't know if you watch them, they're amazing. You know, my lady's son can create these, he does these video games, and then he creates this commentary with the video game during the video game, and he reposts it and on TikTok in these places, and people watch him, and thousands of people follows him.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, it's real.
Making money a lot different nowadays.
Yeah.
It's way different now.
So even if we switched it over to not only your own personal power, but we switched it over to somebody that's going to get a traditional job. You're a doctor, you are whatever. When I go to hire somebody, or even when I'm going to work with somebody, I go look at their social media page, and if they acting a clown and a fool, I know they're not ready for DG.
Yes.
Because I'm in my 50s and I got zero time for games. There are no kicks and giggles in what I do with the clients that I'm bringing on now, specifically my coaching clients. So if you've been stuck, your money's all kind of every sideways, you got to be serious about how to elevate your life. And so what I'll teach these kids that aren't athletes, that don't have this special skill, is that number one, they do have a gift from God that is unique specifically to them. And it's their responsibility to tap into it and then figure out how to get paid from it, which is what I really try to help people do. How do you monetize your gifts and your skills? Secondly, it's your name, image, and likeness. If Jay's gonna hire somebody and he sees online that every video they post is somebody fighting and acting a fool, and they're promoting toxic activity, do you want that? They find that entertaining. Do you want that in your organization? I know I don't.
That's the first thing I do too.
See, Jay?
First thing I do.
So we're going to teach them, look, don't play with your money, and your money starts today, because nothing dies on the internet. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to say, yeah, I did that when I was a kid. I'm cool with all that, right? I don't get upset when Kevin Hart says a joke 8 years ago when it was politically correct to make it then, but it's not now. I don't get uptight about that. But if you continue a pattern of behavior during the course of your presence with your name, image, and likeness, then trust and believe,
that's who you are.
About you. You go to the grocery store and your pants are hanging around your hind parts.
That's who you are.
You know where that comes from, little man. You know. You want to know where that comes from, and do you want to represent that?
Nope.
And I love that you bring that up, because that translate whether you're trying to start your own or going into the working world. So many people, they don't get it, because I was a part of the hiring process in a corporate environment, and it's exactly what you said. If you walk in looking crazy, like you don't even want a job, you could be the best worker in the world, but if you come in looking crazy, and it's like the pandemic. I was wondering, like, do they teach kids interview skills anymore? Like, I was so confused, like, because they come in like they just woke up and rolled over. Like,
oh man,
I know this is manufacturing, but do you at least want to act like, you know, like
absolutely
that
some training?
And I proved this over and over, even in my own household. I had my son one time. He wanted to go get a job at TJ Maxx. And I said, dude, put on your church clothes. he's like, Dad, it's TJ Maxx. I said, put on your church clothes, bro. So he put on his church clothes. He went to TJ Maxx. They hired him on the spot. And then they told the dude, we hired you because every other fool came in here looking like they just got done playing basketball.
The slides on, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it's very interesting the NIL, right? Because I feel like a lot of people struggle with this. That's in our age, Derrick,
Yeah.
right? That understands that maybe your name has been tarnished or your image has been, you know, you didn't know, right? And the
Right.
likeness of you is in some type of way. And I just feel like it's amazing how you came up with this whole idea to take that concept and then now teach it to younger people, right? So that they cannot go through that process.
I love that.
But then even with like these like entrepreneurs, I think that's their issue, right? Why are you not putting your product out in front of millions of people?
Right.
Because of their name, image, and likeness, right? Because of things that they've done, right? And they feel like, you know, oh, well, people who know me, they probably don't, you know, so many of my clients don't want to put their face on the image or just have made mistakes that they have not, you know, let go and transforming their life. So I think that is good one that you're starting with a younger population, but this conversation though of okay, so now that you've transformed your life, maybe this is the part of you now,
maturing,
right?
and,
maturing and now taking that name, image, and likeness of who you are and valuing it and starting to transform your life in a way where people will receive your, you know, your products and services. Because I mean, I just think that's amazing, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Sheila, I would say based on what you just said, that if I was acting a fool the last 20 years and all of a sudden the internet is it, and all of a sudden I decide I need social media to produce or to help promote my brand is free, right? It's free advertising. I go back and delete everything in my
I
would hire a photographer and I would be
block all that old stuff. Get rid of it.
Look, use the Jesus quote and not even like deal with people that you know, right? Now you are creating your name, image, and likeness to people who don't even know you. Do you know you have access to
100%.
people all around the world so you can change your image and your likeness, and once they accept you, then you come back home and they accept you, you know.
Success attracts success. Trust me, I believe that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, Derrick.
Think about how many people act a fool. Look at Antonio Brown. I probably shouldn't say nobody's name out loud, but there's people acting a complete fool, but because they were
lost a lot of money
in a different area, that's okay.
He lost a lot of money too, man.
Yeah, he lost a lot of money. But he's still acting crazy, and he's doing records and things.
And you know, I found out Antonio Brown went to the same high school I went to.
No, really?
Yeah. Way after me though. Way after me though.
Oh, I was gonna say, I hope you didn't sit in his seat.
No, way after me. I'm like, wait, he went to Norland? I'm like, oh gosh.
But what I'm thinking though, Derrick, is that really this name, image, and likeness is truly speaking to these young individuals about their worth and value at a very young age, right?
Yes,
and so that no, you're probably not, you know, the king or the you know, the star on the basketball team, but you still have these three qualities to you that are valuable. And I wonder, just with male and female alike, how just that kind of conversation will make them think about the decisions that they make, because now they can attach something that they want, right? Which is money, which is, you know, accessibility, right?
Absolutely.
Which is this value, right? So,
yeah, no, you're 100% right. You know, I post a lot, but I have a company that posts for me. So I send them the images, they figure out what to do with them, and sometimes they create images. And so I don't really live on social media, to be honest. But I'll get calls. Hey, I'm not sure you know, but you need to check your son's social account. So I'll go over and look, and I'm like, oh God. Did I call him? Dude, and he's 30. Dude, take that down. Like now.
Right.
And so I said, look, you're a grown man. Take it down if you want to or not. But I'm telling you, your next employer is going to go look. He's going to see that foolishness, and you're not getting a job.
So
you're not getting a job. So go ahead, Jay.
So let me ask you a question, man. I know you're a financial advisor.
Yeah.
So how do you teach financial literacy to the youth?
You know, what I do it right now, the biggest way I can do it right now is I teach my in my coaching practice, not my investment money management practice. In my coaching practice, I teach those individuals how to manage their finances, and then I give them a playbook for their kids. That's the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do is I started a podcast. We haven't launched it yet, but we have about eight series or videos or whatever that I do with my 26-year-old son who's a real estate agent. And what we do is we talk all of his topics. So he gets to pick the topic, he gets to give his view, and then I give my view. And of course, I'm the expert. So, you know, a lot of his questions are, this is what I think, what do you think? And then I answer those questions, which revolve around financial literacy, revolves around some of the branding things that we're talking about. We did one on relationships the other day and being unequally yoked, right? And yeah, unequally yoked might lead to being choked. So to answer your question, I get from the kids that are familiar with me, and I call a kid anybody that's like 16 to 25. Those people that are affiliated with me, unbelievably to me, watch my YouTube stuff. And they say, oh, that really made a lot of sense to me. And I teach a lot of common, I shouldn't say common because it's not common, but I teach a lot of first level things like the rule of 72. I teach about the 80-20 rule. I teach about how to. So I have my son, you guys will love this. I have my son who's 26 on path to get $100,000 in cash. Okay. By the time he's 28. All right. So we've been doing this since the day he graduated college. And then I have him on a secondary path to be a millionaire by the time he's 35. So those are the two post markers that we've set together for him. So when he talks about this privately with his friends, guess who they all call?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what's up with $100,000 by this time? And what's up with being a millionaire by this time? And so they come into the office. I don't charge them the consulting fee. We take a look at where they are. I give them some advice about where they want to be and where they want to go and what they need to do to get there. And a lot of it is making choices, like kind of like what you all said. You know, Sheila said, well, my brother did this, this, and this. You know, if he made only one extra principal payment on his mortgage, if it's a 30-year mortgage, by the time year 24 comes around, he's done. Right? He's done.
What you do? What you do?
He said, well, I'm all upset about the interest rate is too high. I said, screw the interest rate. The interest rate don't even matter. Right?
It don't
make these extra payments, and it will chop off years, and then between that, when you get a better interest rate or when the cycle turns back around in your favor, go ahead and refinance, and that's even better. So, you know, so they, and I don't know how you all feel about but they try to keep us distracted. They keep us busy. They keep us watching TV, not finding out what we need to do to elevate ourselves. Yes, ma'am.
That is a perfect segue to what I wanted to get your opinion on, because for me, I've always worked in recession-proof businesses. And so, you know, through corporate. And so when people start screaming recession, and I'm watching people panic, but like, what is your opinion on how to prepare yourself? Because so many people, if you read and learn, this is when people get rich. Right. But the media is trying to scare people like, no, go hide, get a job. But it's like, no, this is the time to pull that spring back so you could. So what's your opinion on, you know, the recession and things of that?
Well, you know, I will start off at kind of piggybacking on what you said, which is, you know, when things hit, you know, it hurts. So think about for you, those of you that are in the athletics at all, and I'm not really into it, to be honest, but I'm into it enough to know certain things. When the last lockout happened for football, when they went on strike, them cats was starving.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, man.
Now these cats are making millions. They were like, "Where's my check? Where's my check?" You know, they couldn't pay that.
Check the check.
They couldn't understand what was going on. I'll cross the picket line because I need to eat. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do people need to do? You know, honestly, you need to understand, and my rich clients live by this. They live by it. They need to understand that they have to have a certain margin. I have a certain amount of money in savings. I have a certain amount of money investing. My expenses are a certain amount. Because what we believe, and I don't mean us as Black folks, I mean like people without money. What people without money believe is that rich people are so rich, they don't count their money. They just go buy the Louis bag. They just buy the Maserati. They just do this. They just do stuff. But trust and believe when they buy something, it's not 20% of their income.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 0.01%.
Yeah.
0.01% when they spend. If they buy $100,000 car, it's 0.01%. It might be 1%, but it's 0.0 something. So we're seeing all this spending, all this high life, the 24K life, which is not what the 24K life is about. And people want to emulate that, especially us, because we never had anything. So if I go get this suit, you know, if I go do this, if I show this, and this, then people will think that I made it. And they think they made it because they own these things. And so my answer to all of that is exactly in the statement that I just told you about with my son. Get yourself $100,000 in cash. And I've done this with several clients that were fastidious enough to do it. Get to $100,000. Well, what's the interest rate? I'm not making anything. I don't care. You are king if you have $100,000 in cash. I'm not talking about your 401k. I'm not talking about equity in house. I'm talking about cash. Okay.
Yeah.
Get yourself $100,000 in cash and then invest every dime above that. Invest in real estate, invest in stocks and not bonds. Invest it in stocks and invest it. Find out, you know, what to do, invest it. And position yourself so that you are not a minimalist, but that you can survive off of the basics. Your mortgage, don't overspend anymore. You know, in Canada, 85% of Canadians write a check for their house. They do not finance their homes. We're the idiots to do that stuff. So what that means is that instead of buying a $350,000 house, they write a check for an $80,000 house.
Yeah. Well, I think that you said something that, I don't know, hit my spirit, because the whole percentage of this thing that you're buying. So the rich person is only spending 1%. So their bag. So yes, let's say what is her name? Kanye West's girlfriend. What's her name? Kim Kardashian. Right. She's buying that, but that's like 0.000% of her income, right?
Right.
You got this same bag that's like 90% of your income, right?
Right.
And who is left over with the most income at the end of this purchase?
They win.
You know what I mean?
But
I
Shiela,
think that's phenomenal.
Keep your thought. But let's be totally honest. They give her the bag.
Oh, they give her the bag.
They give her the bag.
People don't even realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned that celebrities get knockoffs. There are high-end knockoffs that you can get from China. And there's a whole community of these up-and-comers. They're not even holding a real bag. So you think they got a real bag.
People perceive it as being real because
reality, but I think
wearing
it. So perception is reality for a lot of people. But I think that just that right there, like, you can want a car and you're looking at this person like, man, I want that car. But then you're thinking, but that car is only 10% of their income or 5% of their income or 1% of their income. How much is this car going to cost you, right? And it's like, it's costing you now 70% of your income, right? Or the payment of it is costing you 70% of your income a month, right? So do you see why you're constantly in deficit and why this person is seeming like they're doing great? Because their percentage wise in the same investment, it's not yours. Like, you're going in debt to look like them when you don't have the equity, right, in your life to do that. And I just like when you said that in your story, I'm like, man, that is just so profound, because if you really look at it, that really puts a lot more accountability on the person. I think numbers, you know, they are the same across the board. You can't lie. Number two people here is 2 people there, you know, 10% here is 10% there. Numbers never lie. And a lot of times in our communities, I don't think we're really looking at numbers. We're just looking at what people have. And I want that too.
Yeah.
My favorite
You know,
saying was, if you can't manage $100, you can't manage 1,000. If you can't
Facts.
manage 1,000, you can't manage 10,000. And
Facts.
onwards and
And if you
upwards.
can't manage your personal, you can't manage a business.
Amen.
Facts.
You know, how many of us know someone or have heard of someone that their car payment is as much as their mortgage?
Okay.
More.
I've seen it.
More. Yeah, I've seen
1,000
it.
times.
I've
Like,
seen it.
Yeah.
like, so that's the, you know, and I get the psychology, I get the history, but I also get that we've been hoodwinked and bamboozled. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about the system across the board. The people in power intentionally blow smoke so we can't see what's really there. You know, we can't see what's really there. So we have to come backwards and say, I don't want to be shackled. And the only way not to be shackled is to have my passive income pay for my active expenses.
Yep.
I have
That's
a
the
question.
key.
And
Yes.
I'm asking both financial people. So we got two Derricks on here. That's financial
That's
people.
a bad brother too, by the way.
Like, man,
But do you think that it's a maturity thing, right? Do you think it's that thing where, you know, you want that because of a desire, but once you get it, it's like you mature into a stage of financial, I don't know, maturity, or is that just truly a skill? Is finance something that we mature into to understand it, or is it truly a skill set that we have to acquire?
Like a trade.
Yeah, I think it's a skill set, because if it was something that came with maturity, we wouldn't have all these people working at Walmart, at Costco.
Right, but
checking
maturity,
receipts.
some people never get to maturity,
Well, that's
right?
my
Some
point. That's why I don't think it's maturity. I think it's a skill set. I think it's a desire. It's a passion. I think, you know, when we went to church or go to church and the preacher says, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you're going to do something. So when you get sick and tired of being broke, filing bankrupt the second time, when you get sick and tired of not being able to tell your son that he can get his football cleats, you know, when you get sick and tired and you say, I cannot live like this, those are the people who win and mature and grow financially. The rest, I tell you what, this was one of the worst I ever seen, not because of the size, but just because this 60-year-old couple came in to see me. They had over $65,000 of credit card debt, all because they were going on vacations. Not one, not like, you know, a couple big ones. This was year after year after year. They were still paying on vacations that they took
years ago.
You know, years ago.
Wow.
In their 60s. And they, you know what? They did not work with me. They didn't work with me because they didn't want to believe, they didn't want to hear it. When I said, look, we've had plenty of vacations. We need to stay home for a little while.
I was gonna say, they put their desires before the goals.
And so, you know, I'm like, if you really, because you, like you said, the numbers don't lie. So listen, what we need to do is your interest that you're paying on that 60 is, you know, 2 vacations.
And you know what, too? I think because I help people with credit, man. And I'm telling you, a lot of people don't understand the power of credit, like the leverage.
Yes.
Right.
You can get certain cards that gives you promotional periods and they give you points if you spend this amount of, you know, money in this amount of months. And you use those points to leverage to travel for free or to stay in hotels for free. These are things and conversations that we need to have, because if you're just swiping away, and then you're just gonna be like, oh, I'll pay a little here, I'll pay a little there, that's gonna rack up. Like you said, the interest on that is like, you know,
you're buying it twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you took 2 more extra trips, right?
Yeah, you know, and what happens to people is they some of us start off with great intentions until the okie doke comes, right? You lose your job. Pandemic hits. I mean, you know, so they're playing this game on the cards and they're moving things around until they can't do it. And I've heard that 100 times from, you know, even during the pandemic, a lot of people I talked to today, and it's black, white, old, you know, middle, they racked up a bunch of debt, and because they needed to eat, like really needed to eat. And now they can't afford to pay the monthly payment because they kept moving cards and doing these things. So, you know, so the reality is that, like, I use cards. you have to earn, to me, Derrick, just to me, I'm just one cat. You have to earn the right to play the point game. You got to prove you can handle the rest of the game before you get to that game. So I don't even let my clients that we're rehabbing.
It's a mindset.
Use credit cards.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, Sheila.
Strict
so what do you say about? I learned about the credit card point thing when I went to Africa, and then it was like, oh, I could use my points to, upgrade my travel. And I was like, oh yeah, well, use them points. And they were sitting there, but just didn't think about the points. But what do you think about teaching people abundance mindset? And again, this is just questions. So you're teaching people abundance and living your best life and all of that. But when we come to finances, it's very restrictive and very like budgeting and limiting. That's kind of, I don't want to say it's like a scarcity mentality, but it is like
a hoarding, like a hoarding mentality.
Right? Yeah, it's like, oh no, we want you to live in abundance, but when it comes to your money, you only can spend 80% of what you have or whatever. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I got a great answer for that.
Okay.
I'm telling you up front, it's a great answer, just so you know.
Right. Can I be the test of that?
So what I tell people is, I tell them this, because I don't do the scarcity, the lack, poverty. I do none of that. What I tell them is, you do whatever you want to do as long as you strategically plan for it. You just can't do it all at the same time. Right? I mean, that's a simple answer. It's not complicated. So I don't tell them you can't. I say you can. You can't do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't go to Europe and then come home and want to go on a cruise and then buy this car. I mean, so which one do you want the most? Let's plan for it. Let's put our best foot forward. And so I give you a quick story. I think it's funny. It might not be funny, but I had this client. She's a traveling nurse making tons of cash, but she had a bunch of debt before she came to see me. So she comes to see me, and I keep a couple boxes of Kleenex in the office because it's emotional. Money is energy.
Money is
positive and negative, and it's
emotional.
Honey, yes, she's honey. In the office, she's crying because of some financial circumstances she got into, and so we were really working well. She was following the plan. She's doing a good job, but she wasn't there yet. Okay. So she calls the office and I answer the phone and she goes, oh, no. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to so-and-so. And I'm like, well, they're at lunch. I can help you because I know everything. I'm like, I can help you. What you need? So she's like, I really don't want to talk to you because you're going to say no. And I'm like, well, okay, now you got me intrigued. What do you want? So she says, well, there's this Prince is doing this concert in Chicago. It's the last time he's going to do a concert, which that's what he said, but that wasn't true. Last time I'm going to get to be able to see him, and I want to go see Prince, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, cool. I love Prince. Purple. What? So she was like, for real? I'm like, yeah, how much is it going to cost? She goes, well, we're going to drive, so it's going to, my portion is this for gas. How much are the tickets? They're only this much, so it's that much for the tickets. And we're going to stay the weekend, so it's this much for the weekend and my food. And so I asked her all these questions. It came out to be like $350, $400. It wasn't a lot, right? So I go, all right, cool. Let me hold on 1 second. Let me get my appointment book so we can schedule an appointment for when you get back, because I want to hear about Prince. And she goes, perfect. Get my appointment book out. I said, okay, hold on a second. Let me make sure I said, when you come back, we're going to meet, and I'm going to have a Kleenex ready. She went like this. She was like, well, I said, because you getting ready to mess up a whole month and a half worth of work. I said, but you can go. It's your choice. Yeah. I just had a Kleenex ready because you're going to be crying again. She's like, Derrick, I see. She goes, okay, thank you, bye. And she
didn't want to talk to you.
So the next time she came in to meet with the account manager, I popped my head. I knew she was coming. I said, how's the concert? She's like, yeah, I didn't go. I'm like, oh. She goes, no, and he gonna have another concert anyway, so I'm gonna be okay. Now I can plan for it. I was like, there you go.
There we go.
Don't get off track for somebody who's taking your money. You go buy the album. Go rent the movie. I mean, watch
a YouTube video.
Go on
YouTube.
Don't mess yourself up over something else because it ain't that serious.
Man, that's pretty cool.
That's dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys think about? So I asked that question because I see a lot of people, coaches, and I know all coaches are not of the same vein, but a lot of money management coaches are out here like pushing people to not live on a budget and like You know,
To
don't
not
let
live on a budget?
I was like, what?
Wow.
yes.
What are they telling them to do?
Yeah, what to say?
I
How
mean,
does
just
that
the
work?
abundance mindset. Let me say that. So, like
Oh, okay.
this abundance mindset, and
You're not
that,
talking
you
about
know,
money coaches. You're talking about coaches.
coaches in general. So,
Gotcha.
you know, we're working with a lot of entrepreneurs on the show that may be looking for a coach or, you know, thinking about money. So that's why I'm asking these questions, because a lot of times, you know, you can be working with somebody that maybe have their finances in order, maybe they don't, but they're pushing like this abundance mindset, which I believe in.
Mhm.
But I do also believe that before the apples get on the tree, before the apple is the last thing that bear on the tree, right? So you
right.
plant the seed, it got a roots, you got to take the
Mhm.
trunk, the branches, the leaves, and the fruit is the last thing that bears. And yes, because it's the last thing, it's going to give and give abundantly, right? And you're not at that stage of abundance,
Right.
right? And anything we
That's
see in
right.
nature, right? It's a stage to where that thing becomes
Mhm.
Yeah.
abundant, right?
Yeah,
Process.
I understand
And
what you're saying now. I get what you're saying.
yeah,
So I've seen a lot of that, but I personally will go back to what we've already shared. Look at the athletes that are making millions and living check to check. Look
Mhm.
at look at people that win the lottery, and look at what percent of those people are broke, like
Yeah.
broke.
Within years.
So it's not about the
Amazing.
money; it's about the method.
right.
And so, yeah, we
Or the
preach
mindset.
in the
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're preaching abundance, and you can have an abundance mindset. You still got to eat, and you still got to pay the mortgage, and you still need to send your kids to private school if that's what you do.
Right.
So, you know, what I say to that is, you know, keep everything in order. For
Mhm.
instance, if you need money management, go find a money man or woman. If you need to learn how to 10x your business, then go find a business coach that's going to 10x your business. But don't have them teaching you what to do with what you 10x'd.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of all the abundance mindset and of all of the, you know, because if you do it, if you happen to be the 5 to 10% that really can make it happen, and you're really flowing, absolutely, you know, but do it the right way. And when I say by the right way, get foundational principles that are they're not fallible, they're infallible.
Right.
Yeah. Success
Last question, because this is about, for real, your money story. So do any of you guys teach individuals on their money story, and have anybody on this panel heard about a money story?
Oh, break it down.
Okay. So
Nope.
our
Okay.
money
Well, I do.
story. Okay.
Go ahead.
All
Oh,
right.
Sheila.
All right. So your money story is truly your beliefs around money. So a lot of times it's not so much that you don't have the skills to save money. It's not that you don't have the resources or the money, because you got $1 million, but sometimes it's our beliefs around money. So some people get a lot of money, like a millionaire a lottery person that may feel guilty, right? And so they just spend their money out of guilt and shame, like, I'm not worth this. And we can see this in a lot of times, like people who deal with what is that called? Imposter syndrome, right? They can, you know, take on this big job, and now they're making 6-7 figures, and they don't feel deserving of that amount of money. And so they will in some way self-sabotage themselves so they don't have it. Or you can meet with an individual who's going through this process, and they know they need to get their money right, but they have not updated their money story or their beliefs around money. And I do want the audience to know that your money story is the most powerful story in your life. It's like above your love story, right? Your beliefs about mates and, you know, the opposite sex, or how that thing happens. Your money story is the number one story that goes through your mind every day, because it is the longest relationship that you had in your life, right?
So do you all want to know where I'll say Christian, where the Christian church has effed up our money story?
Yes.
Right?
Tell me.
So it's the one scripture. It is more difficult for a rich man to get into heaven than a camel to pass through the eye of a needle.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So church people are like, oh my God, you know, you're bad if you're rich.
If
Yeah.
you're rich.
Ruined. And the eye of a needle is a doorway. It's not even a needle like we know needle and thread. It's a door. A real. I don't even want to get into the
breakdown of it.
Yeah, but that is where we get most of our programming, our money stories from.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's story might be they're a spender, they're a saver. My daddy used to say, "Boy, money don't grow on trees."
That's another story.
So that's another story, right? It's like money's hard to come by. You got to break your neck to get it. You know, I can't just be shelling out money for you to.
And ain't nobody giving you nothing for free. Or I mean, it's so many nuances, right? That we are emotionally entangled in. And so we can make a lot of money. That don't mean we're saving a lot of money, because your relationship with money is one that you have to heal. Just like your relationship with your mom and daddy, or forgive yourself and have some compassion around.
Right.
So we can have all the skills and resources that you have. But if you have a poor relationship just with your mythology of money and what it is, then you're not going to be able to practice those skills, because there is going to go out of your belief in what you think about money. So that's what I'd like to do. Any of you guys teach about money stories, because it is money is really our longest relationship.
Yeah, it really is.
We've had.
It touches every aspect of us.
Every aspect of your life.
I definitely agree with that.
And the number one reason people divorce, if a man, right, if he's rich, he's wondering, like, are you with me because of my money? Are you with me because I don't have any money? Just think about how many ideologies we have about our money and what we do with it. We allure people in and make you think you got it. And then when they with you, then we'll question, well, are you with me because I got money? And that thing goes deep, this money story,
I never heard that before, but that's interesting, though. That's definitely interesting. Money story.
Yeah, what do you call that, Derrick's? Derrick. So like, what is your interpretation? Because I know that has to be a part of what you do, is breaking down, where are these bad habits sourcing from? Like, what do you call it?
I'll let Derrick go, since I've been ruling the stage.
I think it starts from childhood, right? I think it starts from childhood. The first adults you see is your parents, right? So you get all these, stories, and you adopt their stories, and you hear these superstitions, like you said, the Bible verse and all these type of things. And you got to be careful of what philosophy you follow. I have a coach, his name is Myron Golden. And he said,
he's a good one. He flips all that Bible stuff. I love that.
Yeah, he teach business principles from the Bible.
Right.
And these are the same scriptures that we all read, but we all read them differently or interpret them differently. And he was just, I guess, a fortunate one to actually see the business principle in these scriptures. Especially like with King Solomon, right? And so I really believe people misinterpret the Bible, and think that it's okay to be poor, and it's not good to be rich, or they create this narrative that rich people are evil and things like that. And I just think it's false. And I ain't gonna lie, I used to think like that, like, because, you grow up in a house that, Christianity and things like that, this is what's been pumping, right? The church is not helping you.
Meanwhile, the pastor wants a plane, or he's pissed off that he didn't get it.
Meanwhile, pastor driving a Benz.
He's driving a Benz, he's driving a Bentley, he got a Maybach, and
clean suits.
Listen, it's real serious, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of our upbringing, that's where our money stories came from.
Absolutely.
So, we gotta like deprogram that old mindset and upload a new mindset, right? When it comes to money, because they say finance is psychology, right?
Absolutely. I do the same thing, but I do specifically if we're doing if they're hiring me for a coach, what I do is, what's your story? Like, what's your story? People have abandonment stories. They have, low self-worth stories. They have lack of love, or all these different things. So we talk about their story. Are you a winner? Are you a loser? Have you been successful in your life, or are you always been struggling? So I start with their universal story, and then we go to their, okay, well, what's your money story? Where did it come from? I mean, I believe in God and all the beautiful things, but I don't believe that what happened 2,000 years ago, God, they ain't had all that stuff today. So we need to escalate and elevate the application. I'm not saying it's not valid. A lot of the world's monetary systems and systems, like Derrick, you do credit. Well, it's biblical to forgive people's debts after 7 years. That's biblical. It's not something the world came up with. Like, well, we'll take this off your credit report after 7 years. No, that's all biblical.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I don't believe in that. I'm not saying at all. I'm just saying that most of that was done when they didn't have no Maybachs. They had donkey knees.
Right.
Exactly,
So,
right.
Double wide camel.
Yeah. So
They
we
had
talked
cows and
about what do you really want? What do you see for yourself? What gifts did God give you? What life do you think you deserve to live? And once they come up with that story, it's like, how do we make that come to fruition? And so it takes care of all the old story, the old money story, as long as we stay focused on the new story.
The new story, yeah.
And their fears around money.
Yeah,
I think
this
that
is my book. I talk about your story and writing your new story in the book. So we can talk about all this.
I got to get a copy of that book for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I was just asking because I do know that we have a relationship with money, and some people just are scared of money. I'm scared I'm gonna get bust upside my head. Somebody gonna jump, kind of crack. I mean, if you grew up in a neighborhood like mine, and the people that I work with, a lot of them have grown up like that, right, in these very impoverished places, and we wonder why you can't keep your money. And it's a lot of fear around money. It's a lot of limited beliefs around money. And this is a lot of programs that need to be updated just around money.
Sheila, that's a representative of the 5 people you're hanging around too.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
Definitely.
you change the circle, you change your life.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Because I can tell you there's a lot of people ain't scared of money. They scared of money.
You want to love it.
And those are the circles you want to be in.
Right.
Those are
the circles you want to be in. But guess what? You're not even going to have access to those circles, right?
No, but Sheila, I disagree. I disagree.
If you have a limitation or a judgment around money, it's going to limit your ability to even have access to people who can give you that, right? And if you know that, then you need to work on that story so that on yourself and upgrade yourself so those doors can start to come open so that you can now have access and be in a room with people. One of the things that this is a real story of mine. I was a therapist and I used to work in my director, she was the owner, and I would always go in and talk to her, right? Like, I mean, sit on her chair, lay on her chair, like, and all of the other therapists, right, would be like, how do you just walk into her office? Do you know she's like the director? Like, she's worth like this many millions of dollars. Like, and I'm like, but she's a person to me. I'm not intimidated by her money, right?
Okay.
Like, but they were very intimidated, right? Because of what she represented to them. And they didn't even, and she was a regular old woman who loved, Sheila coming in, sitting on her couch, like, what you doing? How you,
right.
And when I used to see her write the front of the checks, because I would go there and she would, she had to sign up all the checks. And I'm like, I'm gonna do that one day. I'm gonna sign in front of the checks, right? Yeah. But there was never an intimidation factor with me for money. But I saw my peers who were educated, like therapists, that wouldn't cross that threshold, right? Unless it was for a meeting or whatever, because of their ideas of what she represented, because of her caliber or because of what she provided. And that's all I'm saying.
No, I my position is that I hear you. I agree with what you're saying, but I've also seen, here in the Midwest, we have a lot of blue collar workers. We're literally less than an hour away from Detroit, where the big 3 are. And I used to get a lot of clients, or at least a lot of calls from people, and they say, hey man, I need to know what's going on, and I need to figure out how to do it with my money, because at work, these 5 cats are always talking about their stocks. They're talking about, what they're doing with this. They got a cabin. Now, these are blue collar workers, and I'm struggling. and we got the same job. So I'm not
Mhm.
talking, Sheila, about this disparity between seniority and lower ranking, peer to peer. But the one thing that I will tell you is that, and I believe this, the Bible says the poor will always be with us. You can't save everybody.
Amen.
Listen, Sheila, you
Amen.
are the 10% I was talking about earlier. It just, thank God it was you. Everybody's not inclined. They're not sick and tired enough. They haven't had that catastrophic issue in their life yet to push them to do something greater. How many nonprofits do we have because somebody's kid got killed from a drunk driver or shot or this or that? They go to Congress and they get a bill because they are distraught. It came, this great thing for the universe came out of this single pain point. And that's kind of what we're talking about. You're not going to be able to, everybody's not going to get on the bandwagon. Every sister and brother don't want to really be real. They want to act real.
I'm with you on that now.
Look, yes, when you're right, you're right. I love that. You
like
cannot save everybody.
It's definitely a process. Like I think we all got friends, old friends, and things like that. That once you start to elevate your mindset, you feel like you're going places. You can't bring everybody along. They can't go in all these rooms with you, right? You'll be like, man, no, I can't bring this person in this room with me. They might say something crazy, right?
On purpose.
On purpose.
On purpose, like, and not even think that is anything wrong, right? But you gotta already like know that in your mind. You're like, nah, I can't bring these people with me, right? So everybody.
And it's okay.
And it's okay.
But we talk about legacy building too, right? And let me say breaking generational curses, quote unquote, and then legacy building. And again, that is emotional management. Again, I'm coming on here as the therapist and the mindset person. And these things that we're talking about, money is emotional. It's just as much emotional as it is skillful. These are not easy things. And sometimes, like Derrick said, and I can ask you this question, Derrick, because I heard you say that you started your book 10 years ago, right? And then, you made a decision 10 years later to finish that book. And if I was to be meeting with you, like, okay, so why did it take you 10 years to pick that book back up? And you could say, we can give a lot of reasons, and not to put you on front, but we could say, I got married, I had kids and all of that. But then I can say, but how did you feel? Did it have anything to do with your emotions? The reason it took you 10 years to write that book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I would say that when it became important to me,
important to you,
is when I did it.
Yeah. And when you buckled down and did what you need to do emotionally, even when you didn't want to, you did it.
Right.
And so much of our life is that, right? It's I need to do what I need to do, and I need to push this fear and this emotion to the side. I think you said it best, Derrick. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired. But at some point, you're going to have to face your emotions, especially if we're breaking generational curses and building legacies, and you're the space that's holding that.
Right.
You the bridge. That ain't an easy thing.
I agree.
With you.
Yeah, this is important, man. That's why we're having this conversation, right? It's really rare that we see us sitting down having a conversation about stuff like this.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know what I'm saying? It's rare, man. So I salute you guys.
Public space.
Yeah.
Right.
This is
and being transparent, about what's what. So
and it's the reason I was thinking about this too while you guys was talking. It's the reason why you go to the casino and they make you cash your money in and give you chips. Because if you had to go and put that money on the table, it would pull at your heartstrings. Like, man, I put money down here, but those chips make you just flip them.
It's a game.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't think about it. This is actually money.
Right. Yep, it's a game.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave without saying you can always start today. This is not something that I wanted to make sure that was said, because it's like we've said it in so many ways, but it doesn't matter what you did yesterday, 5 years, 10 years. Like Derrick said, I'm sure people have come back 1 bankruptcy, 2 bankruptcy, lost your house. You can always come back, because for me, I see the amount of money that floats around this country. There's no reason why you cannot grab your slice. You have multi-billion-dollar companies. Why can't you get a percentage of their start that company, start that brand, start that thing, start hustling on the side? Go get your portion of it because it's out there and it is not restricted to you from anyway.
Who's got my money? Somebody got my money.
Somebody got my money. I like that. Who got it?
They said we're going through one of the biggest wealth transfers ever in history right now.
Pay attention.
There's no shortage of money out there.
There's no shortage of
There's
money.
no shortage of money. The problem is if your skills don't match.
You got to get the skills.
You got to get the skills to match what you're trying to go get, bro.
Simple as that. Add value to the marketplace. Like Jim Rome said, you got to add value to the marketplace, man.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, it's been a dope conversation, man. Hey, Derick Gant, man, you came back, knocked it out of the park like always, bro. You bring that energy, man. We miss you over here, bro.
Hey, man, I told you, I get kind of busy, but if you call me and you need me, I'll put that cape on and show up.
Absolutely. You're welcome back anytime, man.
Thank you very much.
Brother.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I enjoyed talking to all of you.
And where we can grab that book at?
Yeah,
it's online anywhere, man. You can any Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can order it anywhere online.
Okay.
One more thing too. So you and your son have a great idea for a podcast, man. That's a great idea. A young person.
Thank you.
Asking you questions that a young person would probably have in their mind, and you sitting there as OG putting it down for him, right? Yep. That's a great thing, man.
Yeah, so and I told you we talk about whatever he want to talk about. We talk about it. We talked about relationships, which was really uncomfortable. And so, trying to get that hot chick and why you can't keep her and why, we talked about all of that.
Wow, that's good. I got to hear that podcast. I got to hear that.
We haven't launched it yet. We'll launch it. I'll let you know when we launch it. We have about eight things we take. We wanted to have about 10
there you go.
things that we had in the library before we launched. We didn't want to launch with one video.
And also, I'm launching a podcast too. I would love to invite you on my show too, man.
I'd love to be there, man. 3 Derricks? Derrick, and come on, man. That's love.
What? When we have a network, you guys can put it over here too, man.
Look, you better tell them, Jay.
Absolutely.
Right. Let's do it.
Yeah. So now Derrick here, he got Derrick 2 on here. I forgot your last name, D. Was it Rich?
Oh yeah, well it's
Derrick
like
to Derrick.
It's like Derrick to Derrick. So like I went Derrick to Derrick. That's
okay. Gotcha. And Jermain Miller as well, man. So they knew they would be here every week with us, man, going forward. So I can tell they got them skills, man. They ready to put it down. So this week was kind of like a little layup for y'all, man. So we'll come harder next week. So
excellent.
So yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
See now, hold on. I gotta say this too. I gotta make sure I say this.
And we can follow you right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The men outnumber the women today. So
I
appreciate y'all.
We held it down, but we held it though.
We did what black women do.
Absolutely.
Hold it down.
So hey, Derrick, man, tell us how to get in contact with you again.
DerickGant.com, DerickGant.com, 1 R, and all of my content's on DerickGant.com. You can go to YouTube, Derick Gant 24K Life, all my social. People can get all my contact numbers from all those spots. There's places to call, to text, email. There's no shortage of how to get to a Derrick, right, Derrick?
Absolutely. Right. And DM me too if you want to copy, everybody information. I'll definitely send it out to you guys. How to reach you guys? Tell them how to reach you guys when we get off tonight. Anybody go first?
All right, I'm Danielle MacArthur, DCDR Solutions, Small Business Entrepreneurship Coaching. Take it away, other Derrick.
I'm Derrick to Derrick. You can follow me at DERRICK, DER with number 2, then DERRICH on all social media platforms. We have you on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
What's your podcast?
The podcast will be launching soon. We haven't launched it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be launching like in December. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm Shiela. You can reach me at I Am Shaping Solutions on all social media handles. Our podcast is Elevating Life, which airs live on Mondays, and that's elevating your love, interactions, focus, and energy. And like Derrick, I also have a podcast coming out called What Would My Daddy Say? And that is my personal journey dating and getting advice from my dad.
I like
And
that.
so that is launching, and just being a professional woman in the dating world, and we lose all our thoughts. Like, I'm not a professional. I am more of a daddy's little girl, and so that's launching on Thursday, this next Thursday, and that's going to be on at Shiela Little on my page. So
Nice.
I like to see y'all there, ask questions and stuff, because I want to know what my daddy gonna say, because he got so much to say. And I said, we gonna do a show because you got so much to say about what your daughter is doing out here in these streets.
Oh,
So
Lord.
yeah,
Wow, I love it.
yeah.
What about you, Jay?
Jermain Miller here at Jermain Miller on all social media platforms. From there, you can see anything regarding real estate, book publishing, speaking, coaching, and all the other different platforms and services that I provide for everyone. So I appreciate you guys having me this evening.
I should have had Jermain publish my book.
Yeah,
Right.
I was
I
trying to
do
get
have
that
a
out. There you
question
go.
about for Jermain. I know
So
we about to close out, but Jermain, you said you work with coaches and you help them. So are you working together with a coach to develop the framework for the book and like the writing process? So when you said that,
Yeah, so I ghostwrite books. There's a lot of books that are out right now that are #1 bestsellers that I've written ghostwrite wise. I specifically work with entrepreneurs because, again, like I said, I realized that there was a need for what it was that they were doing. They are experts in their field, and a book is something that can stamp their legacy. And so what I realized is that void wasn't being fulfilled because as entrepreneurs, we just really, like Derrick talked about, just didn't really have time to write the book until it was really a pressing need. So we wanted to be a Uber of book publishing, and that's like a one-stop shop to come in, get coaching, training, how to create a 6-figure platform with your books, how to stand out in your market by being a author expert. And I provide all of those services with the book publishing company. So Derrick, I got for the next one, brother.
Y'all see all the books, don't y'all?
100%.
Yeah, look, man.
You see all the books back there.
Background.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
he being humble right now. You see?
Yeah.
He really is. Look, I was hoping to answer.
No, I wanted to ask because I do feel like that's a viable source for an entrepreneur, like writing a book and putting your framework and and selling that. So I wanted to know what aspect did you do in that in working with the coach?
Yeah, everything. I mean, if you from someone saying that I have a concept or I have an idea, or I've been writing a book for 2 years or 10 years, to someone who has absolutely no idea what they want to write, we help them get started. I've had people come to me with no idea, and we've put the whole idea together all the way to the end to being a #1 bestseller. So we consult. We know every direction that an author needs to take. We know the ups and downs. We know the emotions. I'm a 4-time best-selling author myself, so I know exactly what the process is all about.
Should have led with that.
On myself.
Give us a couple of your books, Jay.
Huh?
You got a couple of your books you can show us real quick?
Yeah.
They all at the top of the shelf back there.
He got some books
with that. I'm a 4-time
He got
best-selling
some books
author.
I see I got up there too.
I got my most recent book here is
oh, I like that one.
Power.
Magic Power.
Conversations. It was forwarded by the legendary man himself, Don Green of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. He's a mentor of mine, good friend of mine and mentor. Then I have my first book, which is called Wake Up and Win.
I can't see that one.
Wake Up and Win. Sorry, the light is too bright here.
Right,
But Wake Up and Win.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
The book here, and it was forwarded by my spiritual father and mentor, Mr. Les Brown.
Oh, Les Brown.
And
Jermain, you've been quiet on this whole show. And you got some gems. I guess they say the best for last.
Wake Up and Live, which was my second book. It was really written for COVID and what we were going through in COVID and how people had put their dreams and their goals on the shelf because of what was happening. And I wanted to motivate people to wake up and live their dreams. It was forwarded by my spiritual mom, Diana Nightingale, who is the widow of the late, great Earl Nightingale, who wrote The Strangest Secret.
Yes.
So, and my last book that I have is Unshakable Focus.
I like that.
Faith to Overcome Circumstances Using Positive Suggestions. So those are my books. Again, I also have books that we've published that have been bestsellers, from house hacking to property insurance to home ownership, life insurance, asset protection management, motivation, you name it, we got it.
My type of books.
I don't know if you all saw, because we were focused on Jermain, but I put my one little book back up on
Man, come on.
I was like,
I need
So
to
if we
write me
put
a book.
Jermain Miller in the Amazon, those 4 books.
I need to write me a book now.
Yeah, if you put Jermain Miller in, I have a author page on Amazon, and then you'll be able to see all of the books there as well.
I
What
know.
else, man?
Yeah, for everybody, man, that was on, man. You guys did a great job, man. So
Appreciate
people
it.
will really benefit from this, man. So look forward to really kind of putting this thing completely together now.
Oh yeah.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys, man. Hey, man, salute to you guys, man. Let's go kill the rest of the week, and let's go win, man. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
You guys have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right.
All right, guys, man. Peace. See you next week.
See you next week.